Hello, this is David from DN Cognitive Counseling. First off, I want to thank our new subscribers and welcome. Second off, I'd like to say I very much appreciated the feedback on the last video, which is basically about faith. And the question becomes, how much faith should we put in faith? I want to hit a couple of people's comments and actually make some comments about them. First, Ed. Ed says, I agree with you, and I wish everyone took personal responsibility. And thank you very much, Ed, for that, and I happen to agree. I think it is very important for people to take responsibility of their actions and not just put everything about in the hands of faith. If everything was about faith instead of our own actions, then we wouldn't really have need of a purpose of living our own lives. Eve writes, I am so thankful to you for this video. Some people confuse faith with magic, and it could have horrible consequences. Thank you for being a voice of reason. Eve, I thank you very much for that comment, and I'm going to point out something that Michael Johnson, who does a series on the 12 steps, and if anybody out there who's never seen it, it's a wonderful series. And he explains in there that some people, when they pray, they try to treat God as a genie, that they want God to basically grant their wishes, and that's the idea of God in their head, the God of their understanding. And he explains why that's a problem. And I think I happen to agree with you. I think it's a very big problem when people associate faith with magic. And it does have horrible consequences. I absolutely agree. Val, also, she writes, this is the most believable explanation. It does take responsibility as well, not just faith. It also occurs to me that those that have unreal expectation in the God of their understanding may be the same ones that tweak the rules or commandments to accommodate their actions, but it is to excuse or condone, and they don't have to take responsibility for the consequences. And that is what happens when people have a hypocritical ideology, when people are not true to their own value system, and instead they do things that are absolutely detrimental, and it leads to a lot of problems. The last comment that I'm going to be talking about is Jen's. Now, Jen, I thank you very much for the book that you wrote, and I do appreciate it. And I'll try to do a response some justice. I know it takes a long time to write a response like this, and again, I want to thank you because it shows that you have a lot of care and passion. And I welcome you and to thank you for writing so much and to share, sorry about that, to share what you're feeling with everybody. Jen writes, is he kidding? This is a medical professional? How about I leave my oral hygiene to God? Well, Jen, again, for the first part of your comment, I have to agree with everything you said, except there's only one little problem. You misgendered. This is a she, not a he. The dentist that wrote this was a female, not a male. And sadly, yes, this is a medical professional. And I actually made mention of the fact about leaving your oral hygiene to God. Jen continues, there's been no intervention since the pandemic because we don't have one. Can't we argue that God killed 500,000 people across the world? We've been letting God take care of us so far, and people are dying. Hundreds of thousands more are getting sick. Again, this is the problem of when we say we just leave something up. We do have to take that personal responsibility. Excuse me. And that is correct. We do. So the aspect of us being able to take that personal responsibility would have led to a lot less deaths. Jen continued, I love the boat story. I've heard it before. I very much agree with that story. Divine intervention doesn't have to look like angels, fairies, or magic. Personally, I'm trying to find the line between God's will and our own personal accountability and responsibility. Personally, I believe if you do your due diligence and everything you're able to do, the rest is up to God of the universe. And this goes, again, Jen, the reason why I think that what you said here is so important, this falls in line with that serenity prayer. And I know I spoke about it in previous videos, and I will probably speak about it again because it's really life-altering, which is the idea of the things that you can change are up to you, and the things you can change, you have to let go of. So I absolutely agree with that as well. Jen continues, people like the writer frighten me. I feel that they will exacerbate the situation as as a result, and we may never recover from the first wave, never mind the second wave. I really don't understand the mentality of anti-maskers. I read somewhere that during the Spanish flu, there was a group of anti-maskers who also defied the order to wear masks, and most of them died in the second wave. I really don't understand. It's not electric shock therapy. It doesn't cause pain. It doesn't mute you or hinder your daily responsibilities. Okay, so it's not really good fashion accessory. And because I forgot people can't see me smile under the mask, I wonder if a lot of people just think I'm staring them down. But other than that, WTF is the big giant deal. I really wish someone would explain it to me in a manner I understood. First off, I have to disagree with you. I think there's some really great fashion masks. I know I saw one recently that said on the mask, if you could read this, you're too close to me, which I thought was very cute. The nature of whether the mask is nice or not nice, I don't even think is the issue, and I think it's very cute that you bring that up. But I do believe that, and what you said about the Spanish flu is incredibly important. The sad part is that this disease does not kill like the Spanish flu did, meaning that this disease doesn't run through people and kill everybody it touches, which is part of the problem. It travels through people asymptomatically and kills different people. And this is why this has been going on and so dangerous. And it's very scary that, yes, during the Spanish flu, there were anti-maskers back then too. People don't like being told. People don't like dealing in reality. People like to do what they feel. And feelings don't care about facts. And facts don't care about feelings. To coin a phrase from another famous internet personality. But the truth is that when you have a feeling about something, the facts don't care about them. The facts are going to do what the facts are going to do. Your feeling about them doesn't matter. What's also interesting about the mask is the mask acts more like a condom than a protection. What I mean by that is it's more likely that the person wearing the mask is not going to transmit the disease to somebody than you wearing a mask if it's around you. Unless you have the N95 masks, which so few people have because most of them are gone. But other than that, the regular masks that people are wearing generally don't really protect them from getting exposed. It protects you from your fluids being put into the air and has a greater protection. It's not to say there is no protection, there is. It's just not as great going in that direction. Jen continues, I like learning things on my own instead of accepting what people tell me as facts. So here's a link to the U.S. Constitution. And Sheila gives a link. Can someone please tell me where does it imply wearing a mask infringes on anyone's rights? Everyone protesting or rioting should be wearing masks. If you're not allowed to protest, then you have the right to it. You would be an infringement on others' rights. So allowing the protests, I understand, but law enforcement should have enforced the mask rule. I'm really tired of politicians putting their own agendas, bad publicity, and public outcry above the public safety and the good of the country. And Jen, I can't agree with you more. The aspect here is important to recognize, and I think you laid it out very nicely, is that the issue is not you getting sick. The issue is that you're putting other people in danger. That's the big problem. If somebody wanted to take a risk and have unprotected sex with somebody who has a STD, if you know about it, you take that risk, that's on you. But if somebody has a disease, an STD, they knowingly have it and they don't tell you about it and put you at risk, that's not okay. So the aspect that if you want to take a risk knowingly for yourself, that you have every right to do. That's your prerogative. What you don't have a right to do is give other people something. And that is where the problem is. And in actuality, that's what people don't seem to realize. That it's not about I need to be masked to protect myself, which I have every right. I don't want a mask. I have a right to protect myself. It's I'm going to be hurting other people because if I become a carrier and I'm not masked, I'm more likely to give it to other people who don't want it. Jen continues, of course, but thank you again because I love what you're saying. Do anti-maskers think those of us who wear masks like it? I hate it. I'm a cancer patient, so afraid of dying or contaminating my other immune-compromised friends that I've not socialized since March. I only leave the house to food shop when necessary and go to doctor's appointments. I see all the people having parties and barbecues, enjoying life like nothing has happened, nothing will happen, and it infuriates me. I don't want one of those friends or loved ones to die from them, to get how dangerous they're doing. It feels like that's what's going to happen. Not to mention if they inadvertently infect a loved one or friend and they die. I can only imagine once the family learns where the infection came from, they're not going to be happy and it may ruin that relationship. To me, the questions are simple. How badly does wearing a mask interfere with life and not wearing one worth the guilt I'm going to feel if I spread the virus? And again, I absolutely agree with again. And again, I'm sorry about what you're going through physically. And yes, being compromised makes you at much greater risk, which again, the people who are not as a great risk don't really at times seem to care or understand what they're doing to somebody who is at risk. And that's why you're seeing in the States right now, the number of cases they're saying are people in the 20s and 30s. And you go, great, okay, 20s and 30s, most of them will not die. And it's true, most of them won't. But how many of those 20 and 30-year-olds are going to go back into their families and spread the virus there, and in another week from now or 2 weeks from now, we're going to be killing grandparents or parents or immune-compromised people in their family? And that's really when those numbers will go back up. And that's where the problem comes about. Jen continues, and here's a brief FYI. I have a medical condition which makes it very difficult for me to breathe under a mask. It's my understanding because of this condition, I'm not required to wear one. But if I do, I go slowly and frequently west so I can catch my breath. But I do it because wearing a mask and needing to rest isn't going to kill me. But transmitting the virus may kill someone else to me, and it's that simple. Again, Jen, I'm very happy that you're doing that, and I hope that your story will inspire others to do that as well, given what you have to go through in order to wear that mask to save other people's lives and caring about other people. And I commend you for that. Jen continues, COVID-19 has killed more than 500,000 people worldwide. That's 500,000 people. They're dead. At first, we didn't know enough to prevent the spread, but slowly the world is learning. The process and procedures currently in place are not perfect, but they're better than nothing. And at the end of the day, you can say, I did everything I knew how to prevent this. God forbid an anti-masker infects a family member or friends. Are they prepared to live with the guilt for the rest of their lives? With tracing, it's easy to figure out where the virus originated. Well, I wish it was that easy to figure out where the virus originated. And I understand they do tracing, but there are problematic, especially if you get it in a public place and other people will have the virus. But I do understand the point. And again, I absolutely agree that we know a lot more. I think we knew a lot more even before they told us a lot more. As I mentioned on this channel before, I was wearing a mask a couple of weeks before it was even said. And again, the reason for that is because I saw what was going on between SARS, Ebola, and this. And I know I'm not a genius, but I was able to see the difference immediately with the amount of cases and who was getting it and how it was transmitting. I said this had to be airborne. And I said this to the doctors who I was working with, and they didn't disagree. They said my points were very valid, and they didn't understand why there was so much going back and forth on this to begin with. And I'm still not sure why that was the case. I'm hoping one day we'll find out. Now, Jen continues, and here's a question that I'm actually looking forward to learning the answer. The U.S. is a very litigious society. If an anti-masker infects some people, killing them, will the victim family be able to sue the anti-masker for negligence? And or could they change criminally for involuntary manslaughter or something of the same? I hope will be true. To me, there's very little difference between not wearing a mask and an HIV-positive person having unprotected sex with someone unaware of their condition. And again, I'm not familiar with the laws on this. I would ask, you should go to the channel for Viva Fry, where he has more of his law channel, and maybe even ask him that kind of question, and you might be able to get an answer. But on a moral level and a legal level, it sounds to me like it's not such a crazy stretch that somebody could make that case. But it's very, very sad. It's not about suing people, but I'm more sad by the amount of people that will die in the coming months due to this because of people's choices and the actions they're taking. And lastly, for the last paragraph, and again, Jen, I really want to thank you because I think there's so much good in this and what you're saying that I really wanted people to get a sense of it. Here's my 2 cents. Not that anyone asked. Research your own information. Do not rely on other people telling you what they believe. Look it up and decide for yourself. If you do the research and then decide you're not wearing a mask, well, I might not agree with you. I can at least respect it. But for all the people just following the masses who can't explain why you're doing what you're doing, stop being a follower. Do your own research. Ask questions on things that you don't understand and decide for yourself what you think is best. I don't think I'd infect anyone. It's not going to make you feel any better. God forbid you infect your best friend or your parents or someone dies. And again, I thank you so much, Jen. I thank you for the comments. I thank you for the thoughtful response. And again, I really agree with the sentiment of everything that you wrote. That is so important because at times we don't look at the cost-benefit ratio. A mask may be inconvenient. It may not feel great. But the research is saying it will save lives. The sad part is it came out very, very late. I wish that would have been shown earlier, and it would have been much better and saved a lot more people's lives if they'd known it. I know I did that whole video about Cuomo and how many lives were killed in New York because of a bad decision. I think there's a lot to learn from what happened here in our responses and what was done. And we have a lot to be able to correct for future. This is a very sad situation, and there's been a lot of loss. I hope and pray that nobody here will have that loss and that we either come up with a vaccine or we change our behaviors that we protect other people. Again, I hope that you like this video. And again, if you want to be like the people that commented here, please feel free. I very much appreciate the comments. If you'd like to subscribe, well, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel if you didn't do that. And more importantly, share this with people because this is a really important issue that people have a lot of feelings about, but not a lot of facts and not a lot of ways that they think about it in terms of the consequences. So you may want to share it with people that will give them a better sense, and hopefully it will save more lives. And last but not least, if you'd like to become a patron to this channel, you can click on the Subscribe-star link below. I thank you very much for joining us again. And again, thank you very much to our new subscribers. I wish you a good night and good mental health.